Another Ants on a Rock video. Welcome to the Ant Corner.
Hey there ant fans, welcome to another episode of a massive multi-species tank, vivarium, whatever you want to call it. This one behind me. So, before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you. I have reached 250 subscribers. It's absolutely amazing. I honestly never thought I was going to get to 250. I never even thought I was going to get to 100. So really, honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. To say thank you and show you how thankful I am organising a little giveaway. So that's going to be this video coming on Saturday, the one following this video. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on that video. That video is going to be set as a premiere from today so that you can like set a reminder onto it and it will just play as a thing on Saturday. I might be there in the live chat, I might not. At the time that it's going to be playing, I'm actually involved in a charity boxing match. So if you feel like donating a bit of money towards Julia's House is the charity. It's a brilliant charity. So if you feel like donating some money towards that and to help me in my charity boxing, that'd be absolutely amazing. There is a link in the description just below, so make sure you do check that out. It'll be absolutely amazing, and thank you so much if you do. Anyways, my 250 subscriber video has got quite a few cool prizes, some cool stuff, some stuff that you probably weren't expecting. Anyway, so make sure that you're gonna get on that video as well on Saturday coming. And anyways, on with this video. So as you know, the ants have been escaping. It's been a little bit of an issue. It was all overgrown. So the first thing I did was I cut it back. I'm going to show you that footage. And then I'm going to tackle the barrier, reapply the barrier, see where that gets me. Hopefully they won't be able to get past that. Basically, I've seen there's a little bit of a gap. I'll show you. There's a bit of a gap up near the fan corner where they've managed to break through some of the talcum powder. It's hard to kind of show you on this camera, but that's the area that I think that they've broken through. So it's just going to be a matter of repairing that, going around the rest of the tank, making sure that all the barrier is nice and thick and that the ants can't get out. So that's what I'm going to show you next, as well as the cutting back the stuff, and I'll talk about a bit of what's going on in the tank anyways. So on with that now. Right, so I'm going to dive in on the right hand side to start with, over the pond. As you can see, there is ants absolutely everywhere at this point, so I was quite lucky I didn't actually get bitten. Taking out some huge parts of bramble. I actually made a mistake. I cut the next piece a bit too low down, and I actually took out about 90% of the long piece of bramble, this piece that I wanted to keep. That's the mistake cut there. See, I wanted to keep that because it was actually exactly how I wanted it, but it's too late once you cut it, so take it out and get on. And now I'm going to put it on fast mode because this just takes ages. So as I'm cutting back, obviously I need to be really careful, simply because there's stick insects on some of the leaves, there's ants on some of the leaves, there might be spiders or any other inhabitants that crawl about. Even lots of the isopods are now crawling all over the ferns and the leaves, possibly eating the decaying bits that have been cut in previous cutbacks. I'm not really sure, but as you can see, I'm doing a massive cutback with this, cutting it right back to basics so that I can see anywhere that's a weak point for the ants to get out. The elephant fern, this one here on the far left hand side, it was actually encroaching on the barrier itself, so things like that, you know, it's good to have a big cutback occasionally. All of these here were covering up the nest site, so I couldn't even see what was going on in the nest. Oh, and you'll have to excuse the reflections. During daytime, this tank's quite hard to actually film. I managed to pull out and uproot a couple of new baby ferns that were starting to grow, and I've replanted them for future builds. You'll see them in future builds if you subscribe to the channel. There we go, cutting it right back makes a massive difference. Much shorter, much more maintainable, keeping that stick insects alive and happy in there. They've still got enough food, but now I can actually see what's going on. As you can see, massive difference in the tank. Now, I know this is a random piece of footage, but I wanted to show you this footage. This beetle here is a bit of a meanie, bit of a bully beetle. We'll call him Bully Beetle. And basically, he came across two other beetles doing the adult thing, and he decided to attack and disrupt them, chasing the, or I assume to be the male, away, and then proceeded to bite and cling on to the female. This possibly is just a show of, what's the word? A show of dominance and showing that he's the stronger beetle and he should be mated with, but it's a bit of a bully way of going about it. Quite interesting anyways, but by the time I went and got my camera, it was all over and the beetles were starting to disperse. I've been getting lots of messages lately from people who want to make tanks like this multi-species tank, and they're asking for advice. My main piece of advice, if you want to do something like this, is research. I did months and months and months, if not years of research into putting this together before I actually put it together. Oh, we're just moving on to a feeding time lapse now. So research every single species, research their environment, research their natural habitat, research how things work and how to build these terrariums, research what other people have done. Do as much research as you possibly can before you even start to buy, because I can guarantee something's not going to work. You know what I mean? If you don't do enough research, you're going to buy two species that aren't compatible. Every species in this tank works in the same conditions and environment as all the other species. They all thrive together in this environment, and that is key. If one species was out of place, then it could knock the whole ecosystem out of balance. And yes, this is a full ecosystem. It is self-sustaining to a point, as long as I keep providing enough food, as there's no outside source of influence to bring in excess food. So you have to provide the food, but apart from that, it is fully self-sustaining, to the point where all of these carcasses will be completely gone and broken down by tomorrow morning. There will be nothing left, not even shells, and that's because everything is eaten by one of the insects. The ants will eat the meat, isopods will eat the carcasses, millipedes will come up and have a go. I mean, everything in here eats everything that's provided. Which again is one of the key factors to not having any mold outbreaks or fungus problems, because everything is biodegradable and everything's getting used, and we have insects and control aspects to the tank as well, just to make sure that there's not these mold outbreaks in the wet, humid environment that it is. Apart from that, it's only really a matter of maintenance with the barrier, making sure the pump's always working. If the pump stops working, it drains half the pond, which means that the crabs tend to get a little bit dried out and unhappy, which is completely understandable. And then, like I say, apart from that, I just do the odd cutback every now and then and feed them daily. Make sure they always have carbohydrates at this point. I'm also putting about cucumbers and courgettes and other things for the other insects and inhabitants to eat. But you'd be surprised what actually gets eaten. most things are happily accepted. Now, I had to get this bit of footage because this is something that I very, very rarely, if ever, see. To the right you have Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs is our longest resident crab. He's been coming out and wandering about and showing his reign of dominance over the pond area for a long, long time. In fact, I regularly see him venture out across the entire tank and interacting with the ants and the isopods, and he really shows his dominance as he walks around. But we very rarely get to see the crab on the left hand side, Tamatoa. This one normally sits between the rock cracks. I think it's still small and growing. Obviously it's not the same size as Mr. Krabs, and it hasn't got his colours yet, although it should be the same species, same colours and everything. It just hasn't got them. I think it's due to molt. So we're going to wait and see what happens, and if it starts to molt soon. We should have another crab in there as well, but I haven't seen that one for at least a couple of weeks, which isn't unusual because, like I say, it might be molting. So to see these two crabs out above the cave area, Tamatoa was actually halfway across the tank at the start, so it's really interesting. And that's it for this video. Thank you for tuning in and watching another episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you've got a few little ideas of what I've got to go through to maintain this thing. It is actually pretty well self-sustaining is the word. It pretty much looks after itself. I just got to make sure that the ants aren't getting out, and I chuck food in, and that's pretty much all I got to do now because it's so bioactive and cool. Make sure you tune in on Saturday. Don't miss out on the giveaway video. Like, subscribe, comment below, all of that lot. Check out my Discord. And if you do feel like donating some money towards my charity boxing match, the link is in the description below. So, yeah. As always, see you again, Ant fans.